Want to make a winning offer on a home without simply throwing more money at it? Because the highest offer doesn't always win. Sellers aren't only looking at the price, they're also looking at how likely the transaction is to close and how many opportunities the buyer has to renegotiate or walk away. That's where your inspection, financing, and appraisal contingencies become part of your negotiating strategy. But here's what's important. The right strategy depends on the market, the property, and your financial situation. Welcome back to Francisco's Key Insights, where we discuss real estate and mortgage strategies to help you make better, more informed decisions. Today, I'm going to show you how these three contingencies can protect you, strengthen your offer, and sometimes help you beat a higher offer without taking unnecessary risk. Before changing any contingency, you need to understand the market you're competing in. In a buyer's market, where homes are sitting longer and sellers have fewer offers, you may have more room to request repairs, negotiate credits, keep longer timelines, and maintain stronger protection. But in a seller's market, especially when a property has multiple offers, the seller may prioritize speed and certainty. That could mean shortening your inspection period, tightening your financing timeline, or offering some level of appraisal gap coverage. But you also have to look beyond the overall market. One home can receive 10 offers, while another home in the same neighborhood sits for 2 months. That's why your strategy should be based on the specific property, not something you saw another buyer do online. A strong offer isn't automatically an aggressive offer. It's an offer that removes the seller's biggest concerns while still protecting you from the risks you cannot comfortably afford. Let's begin with the inspection contingency. One way to strengthen an offer is by shortening the inspection period. A shorter timeline tells the seller that they won't have to wait long to find out whether you're moving forward. But only shorten it if your inspector is already available and can complete the inspection quickly. You never want to promise a 5-day inspection period and then spend 3 days trying to find an inspector. The inspection should also be used for the right reasons. If you toured the home and already saw old carpet, chipped paint, or outdated cabinets, those cosmetic items normally shouldn't become surprises that you try to renegotiate after your offer is accepted. The inspection is primarily there to uncover issues you couldn't reasonably identify during the showing, such as roof damage, electrical problems, plumbing leaks, structural concerns, mold, or an air conditioning system that isn't functioning properly. Those discoveries may give you legitimate grounds to request a repair, negotiate a credit, adjust the price, or decide that the property carries more risk than you're willing to accept. I've seen inspection findings lead to thousands of dollars in credits, and in some cases, major repairs being completed before closing. However, the result depends on the contract, the market, and how motivated the seller is. The goal isn't to use the inspection to nickel and dime the seller. It's to understand what you're buying and negotiate based on material information you didn't have before. Next is the financing contingency. This is where preparation can make a finance offer much more competitive. Yes, cash offers are attractive because they remove the risk of loan approval and may be able to close faster. That doesn't mean a buyer using financing cannot compete. The first step is having a strong pre-approval before you submit the offer. Not simply a quick pre-qualification based on information that hasn't even been verified. Your lender should have reviewed your income, assets, credit, and employment so there are fewer surprises once you're under contract. Your lender should also be able to speak with the listing agent and confirm the strength of your approval without sharing private information. That communication can give the seller confidence that your financing is legitimate and that the lender is actively involved. You may also be able to shorten the financing timeline, but it has to be realistic. A 21-day financing period may look stronger than 30 days, but only if your lender can actually meet it. An unrealistic deadline doesn't strengthen your offer, it creates additional risk for you. Speed helps, but certainty is what the seller really wants. A properly qualified buyer working with a responsive lender and submitting a clean offer can sometimes compete or even beat a cash offer whose price or other terms are less attractive. Now, let's discuss the contingency that can create the most confusion, the appraisal contingency. When you're financing a home, the lender generally uses the lower of the purchase price or appraised value when calculating the loan. So if you offer 500 grand and the home appraises for 480, the lender isn't automatically going to finance the original transaction as though the property were worth 500 grand. That $20,000 difference has to be addressed. Depending on your contract, you may be able to renegotiate the price, cover part or all of the difference, split the difference with the seller, or you can cancel the transaction if an agreement cannot be reached. But a low appraisal does not automatically force the seller to lower the price. In a competitive situation, you might offer limited appraisal gap coverage. For example, you could agree to cover up to $10,000 if the appraisal comes in below the contract price. This can strengthen your offer because the seller knows a small appraisal shortage won't automatically end the transaction. It's also safer than completely waiving the appraisal contingency because you're placing a limit on your exposure. But before offering any appraisal gap, confirm that you have additional funds available. That money will generally be in addition to your down payment and closing costs, and you don't want to win an offer only to discover that you cannot afford to close. In a market with little competition, keeping your full appraisal protection may make more sense. In a competitive situation, limited gap coverage might give you an advantage. Completely waiving the appraisal contingency carries significantly more risk and should be considered when you understand the potential financial consequences. The biggest mistake buyers make is treating price, inspection, financing, and appraisal as separate decisions. The seller sees them as one complete package. Imagine one buyer offers $10,000 more, but has a long inspection period, a weak pre-approval, and uncertain financing. Another buyer offers slightly less, but has a shorter inspection period, a fully reviewed pre-approval, a responsive lender, and realistic appraisal gap coverage. Depending on the seller's priorities, the second offer may actually be more attractive because it presents a clearer path to closing. That doesn't mean you should give away every protection. It means you should find out what matters most to the seller and strengthen the terms that you can safely control. Sometimes flexibility with closing date matters more than an extra few $1,000s. Sometimes the seller just wants additional time to move. Other times, certainty around the appraisal or financing is a deciding factor. At the end of the day, the best strategy is the one designed around that particular situation. Here's the bottom line. A winning offer isn't always the highest offer. It's the offer that gives the seller confidence while protecting the buyer from risks they cannot afford to take. Use the inspection contingency to understand the property and negotiate material issues. Use strong financing preparation and realistic timelines to compete with cash. Use the appraisal contingency or carefully limited gap coverage to balance competitiveness with protection. When those pieces work together, you're no longer simply choosing a price. You're building a complete offer strategy. If you're considering buying a home, whether that's next month or 6 months from now, send me a message. As both a real estate agent and a mortgage lender, I can help you understand the financing and the structure of an offer that fits the property, the market, and your financial comfort level. And if this video helped you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss my next key insight. Like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.